Welcome to the Patriots Pulse post-game show. I'm your host, John Winterhat Sarianides, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, WEEI's John Lyons. Kevin Stone may or may not be joining us. It depends on how quickly he finishes and posts his game story. He was too busy cheerleading in the press box today to get it started during the game. John, first things first, great to be back with you, man. I went solo last week. Not the same. Need to have John Lyons with me. How are things going, man?
Hey, things are great, John Serenides. After our long national nightmare is over, the Patriots are back in the AFC Championship game. This was their 16th win of the year, John. They won 16 total games from 2022 through 2024. So just you take a step back and you look at the amazing turnaround this team has been part of this year, what they've accomplished. And then you look at the game today, absolute rock fight, slugfest, whatever adjective you want to use. This was a legit battle they were in, probably the toughest battle they've been in all year. You can go all the way back to that Sunday night game in Buffalo way back in October. And for them to come out on top against a Super Bowl caliber defense, again, there's a lot we're going to get into, a lot of things they need to do better if they're going to win in Denver next week. But just an amazing turnaround to get back to the AFC Championship game after the last couple of years. And what a gritty, gutsy performance today and overcoming some mistakes in a win.
Yeah, and with the win today, they tie the San Francisco 49ers for most playoff wins in NFL history with 39. So there you go. I mean, to your point, John, and before we get started, I do want to remind you, big win tonight. We'd love to hear from you. This is the show of the fans. Like I say to you all the time, we know you have a lot of other great options, but I think you'll like what you see here with me and John. We break it down. We have some fun with it. Feel free to join the conversation. Share your thoughts with us. What do you think of the big win? Any questions you might have? And, of course, before the end of this show, we're going to look ahead to Denver as well. But feel free to join the show. But, John, I think you hit the nail on the head. You hit the 1,000-foot home run here. They matched their win total from the last 3 years. This really, truly is a remarkable turnaround. I don't want to hear about schedules anymore and you know, there's no dominant team, and they took advantage of that and blah, blah, blah. Bottom line is they're a damn good football team. That's why they're sitting here at 16-3, and that's why they're going to be going back to the AFC Championship game. And again, I challenge anybody out there, and there's always these people that are afflicted with homerism that'll say, I saw this coming. I mean, I knew Vrabel could do this. Look, at the end of the day, we all have to be serious with ourselves. None of us saw this coming. We thought that this could be, at best, an 11-6 football team, maybe win a round in the playoffs. I'm not sure anyone in this region saw this type of a dramatic turnaround. In many ways, John, this is a historic turnaround, and now they're in position, and pretty good position, might I add, to go to Denver and win next week. I think a lot of people wanted Buffalo to win yesterday so that you can host the AFC Championship game here, get them here. But in retrospect, now with the Bo Nix injury, this actually played out way better for the Patriots. I don't know about you, but my expectation is they're going to go there next Sunday and take care of business. We'll get into that in a second, but to go back to the original point, they gutted this one out. It wasn't pretty. It was a back-and-forth game. Houston was lingering in the second half. They were within a score, but just as we've seen time and time again this season, when this team needed to pull away and win a game, they did it. 32-yard touchdown pass from Drake May to Kayshon Boutte sealed the deal. I asked Vrabel after the game how he would define his team's resiliency. Basically, he said, look, our resiliency is in our preparation and the things we do around here, and that's why we're able to win these games. And I would tend to agree with him.
Yeah, and I think, look, this time last year, we were doing shows talking about the number 4 overall pick, and now we're talking about them as one of the final 4 teams left in the NFL playoffs next weekend. And yeah, the resiliency thing, it's been a big part of their season overall, John, and I think it was a big part of today, because you look at the way this game played out. I mean, they come out, they go up 7-0, then Houston gets the field goal, then it's kind of back and forth. Then they get the interception, but then May fumbles it right after. Really a bad play by May on that fumble. Houston goes in, scores it. I mean, it's kind of funny. We forget they were down 10-7, and Houston had the ball at that point in the second quarter with a 10-7 lead. But then you get back-to-back interceptions, including the Marcus Jones pick six. You go up 14-10. You score another touchdown, which I think might have been your best drive of the game, that 5-play, 56-yard drive to go up 21-10. Then you just basically trade punts for the rest of the half. You have that Hail Mary interception, which is like an arm punt at that point. But things really, again, you were up 21-10, but a lot of things hadn't gone your way. Like you had the pick six, but you had the fumble, you had the late interception by May, which again was more of an arm punt, but you had struggled to move the ball. And then you come out in the second half, and as bad as Houston has played, like CJ Stroud threw 4 picks in the first half, yet Houston kicks a field goal early in the third quarter, and then May fumbles, and all of a sudden it's 21-13, and Houston has the ball. And the Patriots defense forced a fumble of their own. Then they held Houston to a field goal on their next drive after that. Then they score on the terrific throw and catch, especially by Booty, to go up 28-16 and seal it. But it's just, there were a lot of things that didn't go their way today. And each time something didn't go their way, even if it wasn't perfect, they responded pretty well. Like I really go to that situation in the third quarter where after the May strip sack fumble, Houston has the ball down 21-13, certainly in range to go tie the game. And Christian Gonzalez forces a fumble, and then you kind of get things back on track a little bit for the Patriots. And I know it got closer after that, but just to your point on the resiliency, I think it showed up time and again today.
Yeah, it really did. And again, that's the mark of a championship football team. When you can make plays in key situations to either stop their momentum or swing the game in your favor, the Patriots were able to do that today. Every time Houston was on the doorstep and it looked like perhaps they can grab back the momentum, either take the lead or get within a score, the Patriots were able to make that play that they needed to make to maintain that distance. And look, that's going to come in handy. I mean, you're hoping to play 2 more games this year and win them both. If that's the case, you've proven already that you can win close, tight games. It's amazing to me, John, when you look at this football team and the way they were constructed, the amount of young players that are playing on this team. It's a lot of your key contributors were free agents that were brought in here this offseason. The cohesiveness, the resiliency, the ability to make plays for each other. It is really, truly remarkable. And it is not something that you see with every football team in the NFL. This football team is special. And Mike Vrabel has been able to tap into what is special about this football team and get the most out of them. And again, you see it in key times in games like we did today.
Yeah, and I want to add to that, like Carlton Davis, new guy, 2 interceptions. Craig Woodson, rookie, interception. Kayvon Chaisson, new guy, 4 quarterback hits, 3 tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss. Like new guys that you brought in. Kyrus Tonga today, 2 QB hits. I thought he was really good up the middle. So yeah, Marcus Jones had the pick 6 and some of the guys were here before, but then Diggs had a touchdown as well. So to your point, a lot of the new guys that they brought in this offseason had a huge impact on them winning today.
Old man Willem, our good friend from Connecticut, checks in. He says, I'm happy it's snowing and we're winning. Willem, thanks for checking in, brother. Appreciate it. I'm happy that the Patriots won. I hate that it's snowing. I hate snow. I call it Mother Nature's diarrhea. All right, thanks for checking in. Old man Willem, we appreciate it. Good friend of the show, Lauren Gaudette, the legendary Lauren Gaudette checks in. It is certainly nice to see the Patriots succeed, and hat tip to Coach Vrabel and the staff and Elliott Wolf in the front office. Yeah, look, it's the cohesiveness of this staff, and Vrabel talked about being thankful for his staff after the game, but the cohesiveness of this staff, you've been seeing it week in and week out this year. And I wrote a piece the other day on Zach Kerr and his ascension to the defensive play caller and how he has made the most of that opportunity and how impressive he has been in that role. But again, I think it speaks, John, and you and I know this. We've coached for a long time. We've been in locker rooms for a long time. When you have a staff that you've assembled as a coach, these are guys that want to coach with you, that are going to be loyal to you, that makes a world of difference. Sometimes, and this is really true at every level of football, and Lauren can attest, she coaches, it's hard to get that type of cohesion when you have to advertise or use your Rolodex to go out and find coaches and bring them in and try to force them to fit into your philosophy. When it's guys that have coached with you in the past, and that's the majority of this defensive staff, it makes it a lot easier to turn a football program around because you know these guys know what you want, they're going to stay loyal to you, and they're going to commit to the cause.
I would say the offensive staff's cohesion, I think, has been even more impressive because you have McDaniels, Thomas Brown, Doug Marrone, Todd Downing. These
Yeah.
guys hadn't really
That
worked
side of the
together.
ball, they hodgepodged, and none of those guys have coached together before.
And look, I know the offense struggled in the first half last week and was inconsistent today. But if you look at the season as a whole, it's second in the NFL in points per game, 28.8 points per game. Really impressive, I think, by that offensive staff to come together as quickly as they did. And defensively, let's not forget their defensive coordinator left the team in week 2 and is battling a serious illness. And and I think you and I talked about this on some of our post game shows earlier in the year, that the defense had some inconsistencies, whether it was the early scores or that they were slow to adjust at times in certain games. The last 2 weeks, they've been phenomenal. And what's interesting to me, John, they've really dialed up the pressure in the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks. I don't know if they were saving that or they just got to the end of the year and said, "Hey, we got to do something a little bit different." But it feels like they've been blitzing left and right constantly last week against the Chargers and then again today against Houston. Some of it might be the matchups too, but that's been something that's really jumped out at me from this defensive staff the last couple weeks.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a great point. They've really dialed up the pressure, and it's paid dividends. And look, we knew coming into the season that if they were willing to do it, they had the secondary that would allow them to play cover 0, cover 1, and even some two-man and some matchup man. But I think, when you look at this group the last 2 weeks, they've cut them loose. Zach Kerr, the defensive staff, they basically said, look, we're going to go after people. We're not going to sit and wait. We're not going to play bend but don't break. We're going to dial it up. We're going to come after people, and we're going to lean on our secondary to be able to hold up on the back end. And they have certainly done that in spades. Lauren checks back in this game to me was who had the least dirtiest game, and that was the Pats. This was the most confident that I've seen the Pats defense all year and feel like they peaked or came together the most right now. And they had every reason to be confident. You're going up against a guy in C.J. Stroud who's regressed dramatically. He was awful today, threw 4 interceptions. He was rattled. You saw last week against Pittsburgh. He looked rattled in that game as well. I'm not taking anything away from the performance of the Patriots, John, but the plan was simple this week. Get after him, pressure him, throw him off his spot, make him throw on the run. And if you do that, he's going to make a mistake. And boy, did he do that today. Like I said, he threw 4 picks.
Yeah, and I think Nico Collins not being in this game was just a massive thing. I mean, it's 28-16 game. One of those touchdowns was a pick 6. I think if Nico Collins plays, I don't think Stroud throws 4 interceptions. And I'm not sitting here telling you they magically would have won the game, but I don't think he throws 4 interceptions. And maybe Houston does win. And it was really telling to me.
And they also lost Dalton Schultz early, too, which
during the game. Yeah, that's a great point, right? That's his top 2 targets. And you look at the interceptions, that he threw. The pick 6, he was pressured. I thought made a bad decision, rushed it, got hit as he threw, interception. The first Davis interception was an overthrow. The second Davis interception was an underthrow, under pressure. And then the other interception, the Woodson one, I actually thought was a good throw. And what was it? Hutchinson, it just hit off both his hands and ended up going to the arms. But 3 out of the 4, there was some element of Stroud rushing the play and either overthrowing it or underthrowing it, and it led to an interception. And I think, again, to your point, it was clear from the beginning of the game, the Patriots wanted to get after him, force him to speed things up, and they were proven right. He couldn't handle it.
No, he couldn't. And look, who put the pressure on him that forced that pick 6?
LeVon Chase on.
Pay that man. They got to pay that man. He's too good a fit in this scheme now.
Yeah, you got to keep that dude around. They got to pay.
You do. He's 26. Yeah. He's in his prime. Pay the man. Bring him back. And look, we have the entire offseason to talk about what we think they should do and shouldn't do. That's one thing they should do. Old man William checks back in. I think he liked my Mother Nature's diarrhea line. He says, ha, 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 ha.
Look at you, just putting in a comment that compliments you. Look at that.
Yeah, well, hey, somebody's got to pat me in the back. Again, I'm rocking the scarf. I'm pulling that off.
That's true.
I look like I'm going to go out and sled after this. Lauren checks back in. She'll say, I'll say this about the defense. Isn't the healthiest the whole defense has been since what? Week 9? O-line is healthy again on offense. They are.
That's a good point, by the way.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is they are, but they struggled again today, though. And I want to touch on that as well. I spoke to both Jared Wilson, Will Campbell, Jared's always positive. He's great to talk to. Will's a straight shooter. He'll tell it like he sees it. He wasn't too pleased with his performance. How do you think the O-line did today?
Yeah, I thought they were better than last week. I thought the competition, though, was a lot better than last week. Like Morgan Moses on one of the May sacks got pushed into May, which again, you don't see him get pushed into dudes a lot. Will Campbell on the strip sack, Will Anderson just blew by him. And look, I'm not trying to make excuses. Couple times a game like that, Will Anderson's that good. That's going to happen. I thought, though, the lack of put, especially when they ran to the left side behind Campbell and Wilson, felt like there was very little push there from those guys. They had more success running to the right, especially early in the game behind Moses. So I thought that was part of it as well. Again, I thought they were a little bit better than last week, but still not good enough. And like I would say the same thing about Drake May too, by the way. We can get into him. But I thought, again, Campbell and Wilson, I thought better than last week to a degree, but still a problem. And they still, by the way, and we talked about this after the Cleveland game, they're not doing a good enough job chipping guys next to Will Campbell. They still have not figured that out.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. If you remember in the Cleveland game, 2 of Myles Garrett's sacks were against Will Campbell, and both times Hunter Henry tried to chip him, and they couldn't execute it properly, and he got sacks. And again today, it's just, and even on the one today that Anderson had the strip sack, there was a chip there, and he just got off it and blew by Campbell. I don't Stevenson is really good in protection. Henderson's come a long way. I know they've gone 6-0 linemen. When they go chipping with the tight ends, they have not executed that well.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up because after the game, Campbell made a comment about that and how frustrated he is with it. So I think, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but the gist of what he said to me was, I don't want to say he's not comfortable with it, but I think he would prefer to be out there on an island by himself, one-on-one, where he has more space to work with and he can take on a guy. I think that either playing a tight end next to him or using the back to chip release, I think that might slow down his timing a little bit, and I think it affects his ability to get out there and cut the edge off and force that defender back inside. So I sensed a little bit of frustration from him after the game when he spoke to us in terms of them helping him out. I think, and maybe it's a pride thing with him too. He's a very prideful guy. Maybe he wants to do this on his own, and he believes that if he's given the opportunity to do it on his own, he's going to win 8 or 9 out of 10 reps every time. But you did definitely get the sense that he was a little frustrated with when they help him by either using a tight end or a back.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're better off keeping a back in the backfield and letting him adapt to what happens on the left side. Because you go into next week, Cooper and Benito is not going to get any easier against the Broncos.
That front's not as good as this one, but they're still pretty damn good.
Yeah, I would put that front, 3rd or 4th in the league, and Houston might be 1. So you're right, not as good, but still really good. And I wonder, though, if they're better off having a back in the backfield and just adapting. If Campbell starts to get beat inside, the back shifts to the inside. Campbell starts to get beat to the outside, back held. And I know that's easier said than done, but just the pure chipping guys off the edge, it just hasn't worked with Campbell yet. And maybe some of that too is he's a rookie player, and that's stuff that takes a lot of time repping and getting used to. But it was weird. In the Cleveland game, it felt like he was better against Myles Garrett when he was just one-on-one as opposed to chipped. And it kind of felt that way a little bit today as well. So just something strategically. And I think when a lot of people watch it on TV, they assume why would you leave him on an island? And I get that thought. But it's one of those, when you dig into it a little, I think in this situation, it's a little bit more complex.
Scott checks in. Scott, great to hear from you as always, man. He says, wow, what a game. I love how we ran the ball at the end to actually close out the game. That one-handed grab for a TD was sweet. Yeah, that was big at the end of the game. Thanks for checking in, Scott. We appreciate it as always. That was big at the end of the game that they were able to salt away the last 6 minutes of the game by running Stevenson, running the football, getting a couple of first downs. Even though they ended up punting, that worked the clock enough that they were able to get it back on their next possession and put the game away after the 2-minute warning. But going back to Campbell, again, it's going to be vitally important, and he's a very proud guy. He's going to watch the tape. He's going to work to fix his mistakes. He considers himself an elite-level player. and he will get there. I've already heard a lot of people coming back to the short arm bullshit the last couple of weeks, John. It's nauseating.
I don't
Look,
think that is what the issue was like
no,
today.
no,
Like,
it's not.
like when we talk, and because we talked about this in the off season, of course, if you follow Patriots Pulse in the off season, you'd have these answers already. But we talked about this in the off season where his feet and his hands were so good. We were worried that the only time the arm thing would come into play is if he set up a little bit too far outside and guys use speed on the inside to beat him. And that's not what's happened the last. I mean, there was a couple times too, and I think we got to be honest. He got overpowered a little bit in that Chargers game, and I think that's something that.
And that was going to be my point. That's where he
Yeah.
needs to focus, is getting
Yeah.
stronger, specifically his
And
lower
it's that
half.
core. It's not the short arms as much as it is the hips and the core strength that I think betrayed him. And some of that is the dude's a rookie. Like it's going to be an off-season weightlifting program, and then I think maybe next year you won't see that happen as much because it feels like all the base. And again, we're talking about a guy. It's not like he was awful today either. Like he
No.
just had some bad moments. He had some inconsistencies against. I don't know, probably the best edge rusher in the NFL. I mean, you can throw it. I mean, him, Garrett, whatever. You throw out a few names, but guy right up there.
No, I agree with you. And again, listen, people can sit here and make whatever they want about their schedule, but from his perspective, he faced some of the best. I mean, you mentioned Myles Garrett, who had 5 sacks in that game, might I add. That game helped him break.
Only 2 of them against Campbell, though. I think it's important to know.
Campbell. It is. But now you had, you Owe last week. He might not necessarily be a household name like some of these other guys, but he's a really good pass rusher, good player. We mentioned Anderson today. You're gonna have to deal with Nick Bonito next week.
Yeah.
Like
Bosa,
he's going up against
the Giants front. Like Giants suck, but that's a really good defensive
Brian
front,
Burns.
man.
You had to deal with Brian Burns. So to our point, regardless of what you think of the Patriots schedule, he individually has had to go up against some of the best pass rushers in the game. And while it's going to be a learning environment for him this year and a learning curve, he's going to get better from it. But there's no doubt about it that he needs to also get better physically. He needs to get stronger. You mentioned it, in his core lower half. I think if he does that, he'll be able to better hold up against bull rushers. Ken Matthias checks in, another friend of the show here. Ken says offense needs to get better. Defense stepped up. May have to limit the fumbles heading into Denver next week. I agree with Ken, man. The fumbles are a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
And
he double clutched that strip sack too. That was not good. Like
it was not good.
With that front, you got to know with edge rushers that good. Like, I don't care if Orlando Pace is your tackle. Like, don't double clutch in the pocket. And he didn't even step up, which was weird too, because I think one thing he's so much better at this year than he was last year is stepping up in the pocket when he feels pressure, keeping his eyes downfield and making plays. And I didn't see enough of that today. Like, again, the strip sack, he double clutched, didn't step up. And the other fumble too, when he was in the open field, that was just, he was way too loose with the ball. But yeah, it's something that, again, I know we're going to get into this later, and you can talk about Jared Stidham and, how the Denver offense is in trouble. You fumble the ball twice on the road in Denver, you're still going to be in trouble. I don't care who's playing quarterback for the other side. So it's just it's amazing too, because he's been so much better with turnovers this year, but not the last couple weeks.
13 fumbles leads the NFL this season. That includes the 2 we had today. So it's still a problem. And I think when you look at his game, it's the number one thing he needs to fix. Now, people are, if you've had to listen to the conversation about Will Campbell's short arms, now, the other thing that's come up now is one of the knocks on Drake May coming out of North Carolina was, in fact, the small hands. Is that a factor? You have to wonder, John. You do. You have to start to wonder, could that potentially be a problem here? Is he going to need to wear at least one glove moving forward? Maybe not the rest of this season, but starting next season. Yeah. He has got to figure out a way to take better care of the football in the pocket. Look, I don't like interceptions either, but not all interceptions are the same. And some of them, ball gets tipped. You had the one today on the last second Hail Mary at the end of the half.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You're going to throw interceptions. It's a fact of life. I can live with some of those, but I cannot live with turning the ball over from the pocket. That is a major problem that he needs to fix. And while it hasn't been a fatal flaw for the Patriots quite yet, to your point about playing in Denver next week, it could potentially come back to bite him in the ass in that game.
I'm just saying, look, and not to go back to history, but 2015, Peyton Manning couldn't throw anymore, and the Denver Broncos still won an AFC Championship game in Denver because their defense was that good. So you turn the ball over there, it's just an uphill battle for you. And again, that's the thing with like the two
You saw with
interceptions
the
he's
Buffalo
thrown.
Bills yesterday. 5 turnovers cost him the game.
Exactly. And the two interceptions May's thrown in the playoffs, neither one of them were on him. The Chargers one was tipped. This one today was a Hail Mary, throw it up, like who might as well not even count on the stat sheet as an interception. But the fumbles, like, look, and I understand that like Will Campbell got beat on that strip sack, but again, May still double clutched it and didn't step up in the pocket. And we saw that against like on the strip sack against the Chargers, he double clutched it, held on to it too long, and got strip sack. Like it's almost like, and part of this is he's a second-year guy, young player. I wonder if he's trying to do a little bit too much as the level of defenses have ratcheted up. Yeah, I wonder if he's just trying to do a little too much, and it's come back to bite him. And I think, if you're McDaniels, if you're Vrabel, I think you got to remind him, like, it's okay to punt once in a while. Like, that's not going to be the end of the world. And again, sometimes it's just the nature of young players. It's kind of a difficult thing to balance out.
Ken checks back in. Is next week's game going to be more of a defensive battle than an offensive show? I think it will be. And again, if Bo Nix is playing, I mean, it's a toss-up game. You probably favor Denver. But with Jarrett Stidham playing now, Patriots are going to be favored in this game, and rightfully so. But Drake May is going to have to do a much better job of taking care of the football, as you mentioned. And I think they're going to need to be more consistent on offense. Let's be honest here. You score 16 points last Sunday night, gets a good Chargers defense. You score 28 today. One of those scores, of course, was on the pick six. So you, in essence, scored 21 points on offense. The offense has not been great. They've got to be better. And luckily, you have one of the best offensive coordinators in the game. So your offensive staff is really good. These guys are going to figure it out and put together a good plan. But when you look at the offense as a whole, John, it hasn't been great. It's got to be better.
And I will say, like, 21 offensive points against the Texans is really good. Like, they don't give up. I mean, what they give up? 17 points a year. So, like, on the surface of it, 21 points against them is good. But, yeah, I mean, the turnovers today and just today, too, John, and I know we're going to get into this, a month or two from now in our offseason shows, their lack of a high-end pass catcher showed up again today. And I know Kayshon Boutte had the catch of the year. That was an unbelievable play. And Diggs had a big touchdown catch, and so did Douglas. But throughout the majority of the game, when their guys were struggling to get away from man coverage or find the holes in, they were missing that one high-end guy there. It's just something, again, we've talked about it. We're going to talk about it in March and April. Until they get that guy, it's just something they don't have yet. And you look at next week against Denver, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I want to go this far, but that Denver defense, I don't think it's as great as a lot of people think it is. Like, I think it's really good. I think it's really good. But I think the defense you saw today is the best defense you're going to see all year, even if you go to the Super Bowl and play Seattle. And Seattle's freaking awesome. But, like, I don't know. There was the joint practices against the Vikings, the Bills defense earlier in the year, like the Browns defense, and the Falcons was good at the time, but this was the best one you're going to see. And again, Denver, like the Bills turned the ball over 5 times and still scored 30 points. And the Jags went in there a month ago and scored 34. And so I'm not saying,
not elite. They're not elite.
I think it's a very good defense, but I don't think it's on the level of what you saw today if you're the Patriots.
No, I agree with you. I mean, this will probably be the best defense they will have seen all year.
Yeah.
So, and if they win next week, Seattle wins, then that defense might end up being the second best defense you're going to see all year. But the bottom line is the barrage of pressure, the consistent pressure, the movement up front, that type of athleticism and explosiveness, I'm not sure you're going to see from any front left in the playoffs. Lauren checks back in. I feel like offense couldn't decide on what they wanted to do against that front seven. A lot of back screens early in the second half was trying to find the deep routes. Pats were 3 of 14 on third down. Yeah, I mean, again, the underlying numbers don't lie. And when we talk about the offense, when we look at May's day, as I like to say, 16 of 27, 179 yards, 3 touchdown passes, 1 pick. You had a passer rating of 100.7. So that statistically, you didn't have a terrible day.
That
It's
doesn't
pretty,
include the fumbles, though, right? The passer rating, like to me,
no,
that was
it
the biggest
doesn't.
problem.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
was sacked 5 times, like so. And I know Lauren's point though, like one of the screens, like Tommy Tagai, like came off Jared Wilson, sniffed it out, and blew it up like that. Some of that's just the Texans are that good,
yeah.
like because I felt like in
They're
this
very well
game,
coached.
and if you just think about it from a schematic standpoint, like they tried outside shots, they tried screens, they tried stuff over the middle, they tried running left, running right, under center, shotgun, like they kind of tried everything, and like not that much worked because partly the Texans are that good.
Yeah, no, they're very good. And again, I mean, look, the fact that you scored 21 points against that defense does speak to how good this offense has been. Although I am curious to come back to a point that you made about them needing to upgrade at wide receiver this offseason. I think a lot of people would respectfully push back against that. Only because, and the reason I say that is I think that your key playmakers at that position made plays today. Diggs scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Booty scored a touchdown. Pop scored a touchdown. You got 3 touchdowns from 3 different receivers. I mean, I think people would look at that and say, so what else do you need to add there? Do you need to hold on to these guys and add an A.J. Brown? I don't know. I think their bigger priority, in my view, John, and I think they probably feel the same way internally, is going to be edge and offensive line, specifically offensive tackle. I think that that's going to be where they're going to prioritize, as they should. And then you got defensive tackle. They'll have to make a decision on Barmore, which I think will be a topic of conversation this offseason. You have to figure out what you want to do at linebacker. But I do think they're an edge short, and I do think that they need to do more up front along the offensive line.
Yeah, I would agree that edge is probably their top need, and I would add an O lineman because Morgan Moses again is in his mid-30s. So what are you going to do there? And I think you can upgrade at center. And when I say receiver, like I'm saying pass catcher, tight end or receiver, because they don't have, John, an A-plus level weapon in their passing game. And if you're going to win a Super Bowl, and maybe they'll win a Super Bowl this year without it, that would be the exception, though, not what generally happens. And look, Diggs made a big play today. He's 32. He's going to be 33 during the season next year. And Kayshon Boutte made an amazing play today, but you and I know it. Quite a few games where he's got 3 catches for 35 yards, right? We've seen that throughout the season. And I think they miss Mac Hollins today as well. Yeah. They just need a guy that they know can win on any given down. And I just don't think they have that guy. They have a lot of very good players, but you look at even when they were good, right? When they, in the dynasty years, Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end of all time. Like they had that guy in the past. Edelman won a Super Bowl MVP. They had that guy. Deion Branch, Randy Moss. Even in 2001, John, Troy Brown had 101 catches, and David Patton's a pretty damn good route runner. It was in his time. So I just don't – I think they have a lot of very good players in the passing game. I think they're missing that one truly great – and who knows? Maybe it'll end up being Kyle Williams. He actually had a couple really nice releases today, and they just couldn't quite connect. But I don't see that guy right now. Maybe Williams has the chance to be that guy, but I just don't see that guy there right now.
Scott checks back in. He says that Campbell play was almost instant. Drake didn't have any time, and it was gone. Yeah, no, I mean, Anderson was in his face pretty quick. Scott then comes back and says, protect Drake, spend the money. I agree, and I think that is going to be a point of emphasis for them this offseason. Scott also says, when is the Barefoot Warrior coming back?
Actually, could be next week.
It could be next week. I was thinking that after you mentioned him, John. At the very least, if they win next week, you got to figure he's back for the Super Bowl.
And they could really, yeah, but I think, not to state the obvious, but Riley Moss and Pat Surtain on the outside in Denver, you want Mac Hollins out there. I mean, big body guy, can win contested catches, can win against man cover. Like that, you want that guy out there against one of those two guys.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that that's going to be a big key for them. I think that you need that guy that can win from the slot. I think that's the big thing because he's such a diverse weapon. He can win from any of the 3 receiver positions, whether it's the X, the F, the Z. You can move him around depending on down and distance and where the ball is. He's a guy that can generate matchups for you, and he's a nice complement to your tight ends inside. You have Henry, you have Hooper. Now you add him to the mix. And by the way, to your pass catcher point, I would like to see them add a tight end of the future here. A guy that could come
and that's
in,
fine. If like
take him early in the draft.
That's fine. Yeah. If they take Sadiq in the first round and that's their, and I'm just throwing a name there, but like that's their tight end of the future, then fine. Like I'm just saying they need a pass catcher that's at a higher level than what they have.
Yeah, Hunter Henry non-factor today. Speaking of the receivers, Kayshon Boutte led the way with 3 catches for 75 yards. Stephon Diggs, I refuse to call him Steph Diggs. He's not my friend. Stephon Diggs, 4 catches for 40 yards and a touchdown. Pop Douglas, 2 for 36 and a touchdown. That's a guy that I think needs to give you more than that, though.
I thought he was going to too after that touchdown catch. And then he just didn't. And that's the other thing about Mac Hollins coming back. Like, let's say you put him at the X, all of a sudden then Boutte can be your Z, and next thing you know, you got Diggs in the slot. And like that's a matchup I think against most teams you can win.
I agree. Hunter Henry, 1 for 5. He's been arguably your most consistent receiver this year at tight end, 1 for 5. Very unlike Hunter Henry. He's been Drake May's most reliable target. In the running game, Ramondre Stevenson led the way with 16 carries for 70 yards. Travion Henderson, 12 for 25. Henderson, really a non-factor through 2 playoff games here. He was more of a factor during the regular season. Yeah. He's a guy that, in my opinion, John, but best case scenario, you got 2 games left and you're a world champion. You're going to need him in both of those games. You're going to need him next Sunday, and you're going to need him in the Super Bowl potentially. So here comes Kevin Stone here.
I wonder.
Continue your excitement, Lions.
Kyle Williams fumbled a kickoff return. Efton Chisholm isn't much of a threat on kickoff returns. Like now that you're at the AFC Championship game, do you put Henderson back there? I mean, he had the kickoff return for a touchdown in the preseason. He's probably your most dynamic player, maybe on the whole team, but at least on offense. Like, I don't know. I'd really consider putting him back there. And I might keep Kyle Williams. I understand why they pulled him today, but maybe give him another chance and put Henderson. You're not generating enough on your punt returns. You're one of the best punt return teams in the NFL. You were number 1 in the league this year in average yards a punt return. Jones is awesome, but you're not getting enough on your kickoff returns.
No, you bring up a good point. And this time of year, think players, not plays. And at the end of the day, if you need Travion Henderson returning kicks for you, then do it. Do it because you need that field position. And especially next week, where it's going to be another game that's going to be very similar to this, field position is going to be huge. And if you can, your kick return game can tilt field position, give you shorter fields, that's going to be very, very important for the Patriots in a game where they're going to need short fields to score points because it's going to be hard to drive the ball, go 80 yards against that Denver defense. We saw yesterday, as much as they struggled at times, they're an opportunistic defense, and then they can make a play, and they can make plays when they need them. We saw it in overtime. Scott checks back in. He says, he is such a leader on the team as well. He said Hollins. And now joining the show is, hold on, I got to let him in, is our good friend here, Kevin Stone. Kevin, how are you evening?
Doing good, guys. How are you? Sorry for being late.
It's all right, Stone. Hey, big day for the website, Stone, so no problem.
No, we appreciate you taking the time. Thoughts on today?
First of all, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. A win is a win. It wasn't pretty, but this time of year, it's survive and advance. So you found a way. Defense forced, 5 turnovers? I think it was. I feel like we talked about this last week. Drake May was not at his best, and he still found a way. So the fact you've now done that 2 weeks in a row, when all the talk coming into the playoffs was they can't win unless Drake May is at his best, that's huge. Because now you're going to play a guy who hasn't thrown a pass in, 3 years? So the fact that Drake can still do what he's done, frankly, I think he's had his 2 worst games of the year the last 2 weeks. The fact that you can have that happen and still be in the AFC Championship speaks volumes about the buy-in, the effort, all the intangible stuff. I don't know if you can say enough about what this team has done and continues to do.
Yes, no, I agree.
I agree.
I just worry, are they playing with fire a little bit here? Like, are you going to win 3 playoff games in a row where May doesn't play well? Like, because I agree with you totally, Stone. Like, we came in the playoffs saying, hey, May's the MVP of the league. This offense goes as he goes. This team goes as he goes. He had a bad first half last week and was bad for, I'd say, 2/3 of the game today, and they won both. Now you're on the road against. It's just a word of caution. I wonder if they're playing with fire. Like, he does need to be better if they're going to beat Denver, and if they do that, they're going to win the game after that too.
Scott checks in. He says, "Hey guys, can you believe we're one win from going to the Super Bowl?" No, it's hard to believe. I don't think anybody called that at the beginning of the year. It's crazy, but then again, this has been a crazy season in the National Football League. Lauren checks back in. I commented on social media about Pop Douglas today with that big TD. Seems like he's been quiet all year. Which player, as of now, needs to have a big game next week? Well, I think that's a very, very good question. And I think offensively, when you look at who needs to step up, well, you need your big-time players to make big-time plays in championship games. And that, to me, it's going to be the obvious. But you're going to need a big game from Stephon Diggs next week. He has to be your number one receiver. Yeah. He has to be your alpha in that room. He's got to get you 100 yards receiving. He doesn't have to score, but 6 to 8 grabs, 100, 110 yards receiving would be huge. And then another guy who's been arguably your second best offensive player down the stretch, Ramondre Stevenson. He's going to need to make some big plays, both as a runner and as a receiver. This is not, if you get contributions from Booty, Pop Douglas, Matt Collins, if he comes back, that's great. This is a game where you're going to need Stephon Diggs, Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, Drake May. Those guys have to be your best skill guys if you want to beat the Denver Broncos in the AFC Championship game.
I think it's going to be Drake May and Will Campbell. I think May's got to be better than he was, and I think you need Campbell on the road against a good pass rush to have a really good game. Because I think whether they put Benito or Cooper against Campbell or a mix of both, if he starts getting beat and you're on the road at silent count anyway on offense, then all of a sudden I think it alters a lot of what you're trying to do out there. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I think they need a big game from Diggs and Stevenson, but I think it's May, and then I think it's Campbell.
So I'm with you guys, but I think defensively, I just mentioned Stidham, having not thrown in 3 years. I think the D-line has to keep doing what it's doing. If Milton Williams can keep doing what he's doing, and Christian Barmore, who I thought was better today than he's been in recent weeks, I think if they can get to him, you're looking at a CJ Stroud maybe type of game where he's going to give you 3 or 4 interceptions maybe. So I'm going to go defense on that one.
Mike's off, John.
Oh, sorry about that. The Texans, David Cohn checks in. He says the Texans are never going to the Super Bowl. Can't believe the dumb fans believe they will. Laughing my ass off. That shows you how stupid the Texans fans are. Well, David, thank you for checking in and clarifying about the Texans fans being dumbasses. And then Scott checks back in. He says, "Don't worry, guys. I just checked in with AI, and he said our odds are pretty good next week. Go Pats." Scott, while you're at it, do a little bit of research for us. Check with AI and see how Stone's last date went last week. I'm curious. Or Stone can tell us, but not here. He can tell me off the air. I think Stone brings up a good point, though, because, look, you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but he's right. You could end up having the same situation here next week with Jarrett Stidham. I mean, the guy hasn't played in a regular season game in over 2 years. And this defense, when they decide that they're going to pressure and play man for your cover zero even, they are relentless. They get after people. And I think they're going to go after him, as they should. That's going to be the number one thing in my game plan next week. Pressure, pressure, pressure. I would bring man pressure. I would zone blitz. I would simulate pressure. You have got to go after this guy and put him in a position where he's going to make the same kind of mistakes that C.J. Stroud made today.
I want to add to that. The Broncos have the best offensive line in the NFL. So you're also going to have to get a little bit creative, I think, to create that pressure. I mean, Garrett Bowles, best left tackle in the league. They're interior guys. With Mirnez, right? They're really good. McGlinchey's good on the right side. Like, that's the best offensive. Sorry. That's the best offensive line in the NFL. Yes, Milton Williams is a great player. Yes, Barmore. Chason was great today. I think they're going to have to get a little bit creative if they're going to get pressure. Because I agree with Stone. Like, I think he may give them a pick or two, but it's not going to be like the Texans didn't have Trent Brown today. Then his replacement got banged up. Stroud was all over. I don't think that level of dysfunction, disorganization, and Nico Collins out. You're not getting that next week, even with Stidham.
So let me ask you guys this real quick. In terms of game planning for them, obviously it's different without Bo Nix, but is there anything they can do differently? Or does it sort of, is are Denver's hands now tied behind their back in terms of what they can do creatively?
I think it's
No,
less, right? Stidham's less mobile than Nick, so
he is.
that
He is. I don't think they are, though, because I think Peyton's a really good offensive coach, and I know he rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but he is a really good coach. And I do think he's going to come up with a really good game plan that's going to feature Harvey and McLaughlin in that running game. And I think he's going to do everything he can to take pressure off of Stidham. I think he's going to get the ball out of his hands quick. I think you're going to see some pocket movement. I think you're going to see a lot of screens. I think he's gonna do a lot with the 3-step, quick 5-step game. He's gonna try to get the ball out of his hands quick, but I don't think he's gonna put him in a position where he has to win the game for him. I think what they're gonna ask him to do is manage the game. Just don't turn the ball over, take care of the football, make some timely throws when we need them. I think you will see them attempt to establish the run and be patient with it. They'll stick with it. I think you'll see them also work their play action passing game, but I think they're gonna do everything they can to put him in a position where he can win them 2 games in a championship. Now, in my opinion, I don't give a horse's ass what you do to protect him. I don't think he's good enough to get you there, so I don't think it's going to matter.
it's interesting because you don't want him to turn into the ghost of Nick Foles from 2017 and have a couple great games and win a Super Bowl. Denver, I guess if there was a team that was set up to absorb that loss, they're in a pretty good spot where they're at home, good defense, Super Bowl winning coach, great O-line, good receivers. It's just, it's such a wild card because, I mean, Stidham is talented, but he's never been good enough to get on the field, and he hasn't thrown a pass in 2 years. So I don't really know. Like, I don't think he's going to be good, but I don't fully know what to expect from this guy. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a weird situation. Like, again, it's advantage Patriots either way, but it's just a weird situation.
Yeah, no, I only asked just because talking about the pass rush, I worry about Sean Payton's creativity a little bit and sort of throwing something at the Patriots that they're not expecting based on having no film whatsoever on Jared Stidham. That's the only reason I asked. But the only other thing I worry about with him, and again, I know it's Jared Stidham, but that whole revenge against your old team, every dog finds his day. If that's his one day, you hope it's not, to your point, John, like a Nick Foles type of situation. But overall, I can't imagine that's the case.
No, I think he's in a tough spot. I think you're throwing him in at the worst possible time of the year. I mean, if you're throwing him in a regular season game at the end of the season, even if it's a game with potential playoff implications, that's one thing. But now you're telling the guy, listen, you've been in the league, 6 years now, go win us the AFC Championship and get us to a Super Bowl. I don't care what your demeanor is. I don't care what your personality is. There is a lot of pressure that goes into that. And I don't care what anyone says. He is going to feel that pressure. Now, him beating the Patriots, I put zero stock in that because, quite frankly, I don't think Jared Stidham gives 2 shits that it's the Patriots. He's been so far removed from playing here that it doesn't really matter to him. I think it's going to be more about the pressure of I have to go out there, perform at a high level, play well, help my team win an AFC championship, and get to a Super Bowl. That is a lot to ask. That would be a lot to ask of a guy that was a starter last year, lost his job, but is still a good veteran quarterback, is now a backup, and you're asking him to go in there and win you a game. And, John, you said this earlier, and I thought it was an interesting point that you brought up about Peyton Manning in 2015 not being able to throw, but their defensive running game was so good that it didn't matter. Well, that was Peyton Manning. Jared Stidham can throw. The problem is he's not Peyton Manning. So, I see what you mean, but I don't think it's going to matter. I'd be shocked if Denver won this game. I think, for me, if Denver wins this game, it's because the Patriots fell all over themselves. They turned the ball over like Buffalo did yesterday 4 or 5 times, gave up big plays, gave up a special teams touchdown, a defensive score. They would have to play, in my opinion, their worst game of the year to lose this game. I don't see any scenario where they lose other than if they play poorly and it finally catches up with them. Mr. Gfetti checks in. If they had Collins, the Texans, I believe that this game is very different, David. I agree. I do think it would be a different game.
Yeah, was the single biggest player in the game, and he wasn't in the game. I mean, I think, again, if he's there, I don't think Stroud throws 4 picks in the first half. And again, he might have thrown 2 or whatever, but I don't think he throws 4 picks in the first half. I think the Texans, one of those field goal drives is probably a touchdown instead. And then we're talking, again, it doesn't mean the Patriots definitely would have lost, but I think we're talking about a much, much different game. And even it was still a close game. And I think we're still talking about a different game if he had played.
Scott checks back in. Denver's coach might have to reintroduce Bountygate to win this one. I don't know if he's going to go there. I think he values his career, but you never know.
They won't catch him till the offseason anyway.
Dennis checks in. He says J.K. Dobbins has a chance to return this week. That's a big one. Thanks for checking in, Dennis, and pointing that out. That's a big one. They get him back.
And I think that's the thing. If
He'd
you're
be their
Denver,
best running back if they get him back.
Your recipe to win if you're Denver is you have your running game behind that best offensive line in the NFL. You force a couple turnovers, maybe score a non-offensive touchdown, and I think that's how you win the game. If it's just you lining up possession by possession, I don't think Denver wins. But if it's those other things, then I think that's Denver's recipe for winning. Kind of like what you talked about, John.
Yep. Scott checked back in. He says, I know I'm talking smack, but it's you guys. You forgive me. I'm a homer, go Pats. No, man, we're a Patriots show. I mean, we love that. Of course you should be rooting for the Patriots. Mr. G. Fetty checks back in. He says, I don't think that Broncos team is really even close to the team that we played today. If they had Knicks, then maybe, but I was more worried about today than next week. I think a lot of people feel that way. And I think there's going to be a lot of people that can say, here we go, Patriot fans are back. They're being arrogant. They think that they invented football, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, with Bo Nix out, Patriot fans should be confident. I'm going to go on record as saying it again. That's a game they should win. You should win next week. You're going to the Super Bowl, provided you don't F it up. Plain and simple. They should win next week. There's no there's no qualms about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. I want to ask Stone, because we talked about this before you came on. The Denver defense is good, but I don't think it's as good as people think it is. And I don't think it's nearly as good as the defense you saw today. I'm just curious your thoughts on that, because I think Jacksonville went in there and scored 34. Buffalo turned it over 5 times and still scored 30. I think the Patriots are more than capable of going in there and scoring 27 to 30 points and winning.
100%. I said this after that Chargers game, week 18. I probably should have been watching more of the Patriots that day, but watching basically that entire game, if LA had Justin Herbert playing, they win that game. And you said it, they gave up 30 points yesterday with Shakir and Curtis Samuel as the top receivers. So, and to John's point, look, Jarrett Stidham is now throwing to Lil Jordan Humphrey and Marvin Mims. The Patriots are 5.5-point favorites to open. I'd be shocked if that didn't hit 7, by game time. There should be a prohibitive favorite next week. But yeah, I'm with you. This Houston team scared me way more than Denver does. I think the Denver thing, for me at least, just growing up, it's more about the atmosphere out there. And
yeah, that's fair.
And just it being a house of horrors type of thing, like in Miami. In terms of on the field, no, I'm not worried about them nearly as much as I was with Houston.
Yeah, I don't think I was afraid of this team today, just because I feel that C.J. Stroud is a detriment to their chances. And so I wasn't as afraid of them as other people were. Their defense is good. But as I cautioned people during the week, Riley Leonard and the Colts went in there week 18 and hung 30 on that defense. So I'm not sure the difference between the Texans and Broncos defenses. I don't think that gap is as wide as we think. Neither of those defenses generate a ton of turnovers. They both generate a lot of pressure. Will Anderson's a better player than Nick Bonito, no doubt about that. But I would say that Denver defense, that I don't think there's much of a gap there. I think there is a gap. I think Houston's better, but not like this cavernous gap where you're like, all right, phew, we got an easy matchup this week. They're going to be tough to beat there. Don't forget the Patriots are 0-4 all time in Denver in the playoffs. So it has never been an easy place for them to play regular season or playoffs. Scott checks back in. This is the equivalent of one of us being asked to start a quarterback for our local high school team for this week's Friday Night Lights game. Well, I coach at King Philip, and if they asked me to start a quarterback, it wouldn't be a problem because all we'd be doing is
read option
anyway. No, I'd be just handing off. So I think any Jamal can hand off the ball. So
yeah, I'd win. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'd line up.
Laura checks back in. Have Pats played a secondary as good as the Broncos defense? I guess it is not great, but I think their secondary is one of the better ones the Patriots will see. Well, I mean,
think today's
Patrick
was better.
Surtain. Yeah,
I think today's was. I think the combination of Stingley, Lassiter, and Petrie was better than Surtain and Moss and Hufanga that Denver had. Like, again, Denver's secondary is awesome. I'm not taking that, but I think Houston's is even better.
Scott checks back in. He says, I think I like our chances. I hope we chat next week celebrating a victory. Good night, guys. P.S. I will do the research. Stones Day, boss. Have a good night, fellas. I was only kidding, man. I don't do any research. It's a personal matter. I'm only joking with you. So use AI for good, Scott, not to check in on Kevin's
not destruction.
Practices. No, I mean, again, I think everything. Look, it's the horseshoe effect, and right now the Patriots have one firmly up their rear ends here. It's theirs. It's in their possession. If everything goes their way, you could potentially be bringing home a 7th Super Bowl. So with that, I ask you guys, and we can look ahead now. They're in the AFC Championship game. I'm finally coming around to the idea that this team can now get to a Super Bowl and win one. And for a long time, I didn't want to acknowledge it because I'm not one of these idiotic homers, or I'm not a media homer member that's going to sit here and say, they're going to win it all, yeah. But all that being said, now that we're at this point, they're playing in the AFC Championship game next week. They win. They're going to Santa Clara. Can we definitively now say, can this team win a Super Bowl now?
Yes, but I also think if you're in the NFC, you're looking at the AFC and you're smiling because Denver doesn't have Bo Nix, and the Patriots are still a very young team that would be playing in their first Super Bowl for a lot of those guys. And so I think, yes, they can win a Super Bowl, but I think they would be, if they played Chicago, I think they'd be the favorite. If they played the Rams or the Seahawks, I think they'd be the underdog, and I think that would be fair. Doesn't mean they can't beat those teams, but I think that would be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it for 2 months, so I can't say no now. But yeah, it's just, to John's point, the horseshoe is firmly wedged up there. But I feel like every single one of their runs, they always had it. Somebody either went down or they got that 1 seed. They got very, very lucky over those 20 years, a lot of times, starting with the tuck rule. So, yeah, you have the horseshoe, but you kind of need it if you're going to make this kind of run. So
every team that wins has some luck, right?
100%. Yeah. So, yeah, they can win it, and they might need some luck to get there, whether it's next week or to win it in Santa Clara. But I'm with you. I think I'd be more confident if it's the Bears and the Rams. But, yeah, again, that horseshoe, everybody's got it when they win a title, one way or the other.
Yeah. I mean, it's an expression, right? I mean, the reality is, I've always been a firm believer in football. You make your own breaks. And I think this is a football team that all year long has made their own breaks. And I think if you're a Patriots fan, where you should feel pretty good about the current state of affairs, is this team went undefeated on the road this season. So going into that environment, this team is so mentally tough that going into that environment, I don't think it's going to phase them. I really don't. I think this team, you spend 5 minutes in that locker room, and Kevin can attest to this. You spend 5 minutes in that locker room, man. There's a sense of togetherness there. These guys love playing together. They play for each other. They play for their coach. I mean, the cultural difference of what we've seen. And I will say this. These guys played for Belichick 2 years ago. They didn't quit on Belichick. You saw at the end of the year, they went into Pittsburgh and won. They went into Denver and won. So they played for Belichick down the stretch. I thought at times last year they played for Mayo. It's a prideful organization, but in Stone, I know you're a big vibe guy. The vibe in there is so different now. I mean, and so that's the thing. I think when their backs are against the wall, they proved it today. When their backs are against the wall and they need to make a play, they make a play, but they do it for each other. And I know sometimes that shit can be cornball, but it's a thing, man. It's a thing in football. I don't know if it's a thing in other sports. I've never coached them at a high enough level. I don't know, and quite frankly, I don't care. But in the sport that I know, it's a thing, man. Playing for each other is a thing, and that togetherness piece, it can be glue for an organization, and I think you're seeing it here.
And you look at some of the places they've won on the road, like they won in Miami in week 2 when it was 100 degrees. That's always a tough team to play in Miami, even if the Dolphins aren't good like this year. They won in Buffalo on a Sunday night. They won in Tampa when Tampa was still really good back then. We tend to forget that Baltimore Sunday night game. They came back from down 11 in the fourth quarter. So it's not just they're undefeated on the road, which is impressive in itself. They've won in some really difficult environments against some really talented teams as well. And I think that's a big part of this as well. So it's not like Denver's going to be the first tough environment they've been in this year or the first good team they go on the road against. I think having that experience, especially for a young team like this, having that experience in their back pocket, I think does help.
Just to both those points real quick. One, I asked Ryan Tavai post game, just why was the buy-in different this year? He gave me one word answer. He said violence. So Mike Vrabel has been preaching violence and physicality all year. Guys have bought into that. And he also said, we just got sick of losing. So that's been the biggest thing, I think, is the buy-in. And then John Serenidis, I can't remember if it was your question or another one post-game, but Mike Vrabel, talking about Denver, said the louder the better. Like, they are fully embracing that road warrior mentality. They've been talking about it all year. So them going on the road is, frankly, I like their chances better than I would at home, because there's chances you might play tighter at home.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, and they've been comfortable on the road all year, and they've won some big games on the road this year as well. Although selfishly, I was rooting for Buffalo yesterday because I wanted another game here, but it is what it is. Dennis checks back in. He says, with Bo Nix out, all the pressure is on the Pats to win. Losing this game would feel worse than winning this game would feel good. That's an interesting point, and I tend to agree with Dennis. I think given the circumstances in Denver now, if you lose this one, it's going to be really disappointing. The other thing is you're on the doorstep of the Super Bowl now. So regardless of how this plays out, even if Bo Nix plays and you lose, I think you would be just as disappointed. Lawrence says, I think the Broncos' offense is way better than Houston's. I agree. If Pat's going to fumble the ball away, I could see Coach Payton scheme up a few field goals or touchdowns. I think Pats are the favorites, but can they play that clean game? They haven't this month, and that's worrisome. Yeah, I agree.
You don't want to give Denver a short field. You don't want to give Sean Payton a short field, because even with Jarrett Stidham, if you give him a short field and it's, hey, have 4 plays in a row and you score a touchdown, I think even a backup quarterback can do that with Sean Payton as his coach. If you give them a full field and it's like, hey, you got to go 12 plays to score, then I don't necessarily see Stidham doing that. So, yeah, I mean, we saw it today. The one touchdown the Texans scored was after the May fumble on a short field. Like, you can't give teams a short field in the playoffs. You're going to get burnt.
Yeah.
I just want to ask you guys one thing about the May turnovers. Can you work on that in practice, or is that just him being more careful? Is it that simple?
I mean, you can work on it for sure. And I think some of it's experience, some of it's building up strength as he gets older. But yeah, I mean, you got to work on it in practice. But the problem is, at this time of the year, 95% of practice is going to be dedicated to scheming for Denver, because if you don't do that, you won't win anyway. So it's tough. So, like, I hear you. You can work on it, but it's this time of year you have a lot less opportunities to work on it.
Yeah, this time of year, you're not going to take too much time doing ball security individual. You're not. He needs to be better at it on his own.
Yeah.
Can you fix it through coaching? Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But now's not the time. To John's point, you're dedicating more of your practice time now on group situations, team periods. You're not going to do an extensive 20-minute ball security individual period so that Drake May can do a better job of holding on to the ball in the pocket. He has to do that. But moving forward, it's the biggest blemish in his game. He's going to need to work on that and get better. Lawrence says, I think the Pats should be favorites, but can they play a clean game? They haven't this month, and that worries me. I know I'm negative Nancy. I consider you more fancy Nancy than negative.
It's a reasonable concern, though, right? Because, like, again, we talked about it. If the Patriots lose next week, we're going to be doing our post-game show talking about mistakes they made. I don't think we're going to be talking about Jarrett Stidham went out and had an A-plus game and threw for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think we're going to be talking about, hey, May had this turn or this issue. Like, I think that's what it's going to be. So, again, yeah, I think it's a reasonable concern, and it's something if they're going to win a championship, they have to play 2 clean games. I think that's the bottom line.
Agreed, 100%.
All right, good. We got full agreement here. All right, gentlemen, final thoughts here before we wrap it up. And I do want to thank everybody that joined the show tonight. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the interaction. It's why we love doing this. It's so much fun. And by the way, we're going to be doing Patriots Pulse a ton this offseason. So whenever we're on, jump on and join us, especially now. Not that I'm trying to diminish the last 3 years, but given where this organization is now, you're going to be getting a lot more Patriots Pulse this offseason. So just make sure that you're bringing this same passion and energy in the offseason, because we're all football all the time. But you guys were awesome tonight. But final thoughts, gentlemen. John, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, just kind of go back to my original thought. This team that won 16 games the previous 3 years combined and had their 16th win today, and they're going to the AFC Championship game. I'm kind of out of adjectives for how awesome this turnaround has been. A lot of people deserve credit. It's been awesome to see, and we're going to talk about this more as the week goes on. I'm just hoping they keep it going next week.
I'm going to keep repeating the same one for the past month now. Enjoy this for what it is. This run is incredible. It came out of absolutely nowhere. John, you mentioned the win totals from the last 2 years. Whoever, you can lie all you want and say you saw them winning 10 games or 11 games. Nobody saw this coming. Obviously, nobody saw this run coming. They're probably going to the Super Bowl, which is wild to say. I'm looking forward to next week. I believe I'm going to go to Denver, I think, TBD tomorrow. But again, for fans that haven't seen this run, like if you're a young kid, 10, 11, 12 years old, whatever, enjoy this, because they might be good for the next 10 years, but this could also be lightning in a bottle, and you might not see it again. So take this for what it is, because it is truly a remarkable, historic season for this franchise.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point with the lightning in the bottle piece. This league is so fickle. It's such a year-to-year league. There's no guarantee. Next year, you're playing a much tougher schedule. Look at the Washington Commanders. You go from being NFC darlings last year, getting to the NFC title game, to now out of the playoffs and picking in the top 10 of the NFL draft. It's a year-to-year league. Everything can change on one play. One snap during the course of the season can change your fortunes for the rest of that season and possibly impact your future. So I think, look, you're in the driver's seat here. Everything is falling your way right now. You go out there, take care of business next week. You end up going to Santa Clara. That's going to be no bargain. To John's point earlier, if the Rams win tonight, or you get them or Seattle, that's going to be a tough game to win. But if you were able to find a way to get there and win one, I don't care what adjectives you use to describe how lucky this team was, or if it was lightning in a bottle or not. All I know is you'd have your 7th Super Bowl. You'd be standing alone when it comes to Super Bowls. And you'd separate yourself from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think that would be amazing. And again, I think all three of us have echoed this sentiment. None of us saw this coming. No one did. I mean, you can sit there and say you saw 10-7, 11-6. That's fine. I think a lot of people thought that was the high end of their win total, but no one saw 16-3 after 19 games, AFC Championship with a shot to get to the Super Bowl. It truly is and has been a remarkable football season. So, all right, gents, thank you for taking the time as always. Greatly appreciated. Good stuff. And again, I want to thank all the people that joined us tonight. You guys rock. You guys are awesome. You make the show. We appreciate you guys checking in. Like I say all the time, we know you have a bunch of other listening options, viewing options after games, but this is the show of the fan. You want to get your voice heard? You want your opinion out there? Join us and we'll put it out there. We love hearing from you guys. So thanks again for checking in. And we look forward to hearing from you guys next week, hopefully after a win. That'll do it for this episode of the Patriots Pulse postgame show. Patriots advance to the AFC Championship Game, where they will face the Denver Broncos next Sunday at 3 p.m. with a 28-16 win over the Houston Texans. For John Lyons and Kevin Stone, I'm John Sarianides. Have a good week, and as always, go Pats. Peace.